Welcome, everyone, love and light. Get yourselves a cup of tea. Sit your send down. I'm the Pom. No Terry today. He's taking a sabbatical. But we have got the legend of fantasy football, my good friend and yours, Dog. How are you going, my friend?
I'm fantastic, Pommy. Moved up to prime time on the Monday. We've been doing the Wednesdays and Thursdays for the teams, and very excited to be here. Great to be here on a Monday, and great to talk not just teams with you, talk all things Carlton. It's going to be great.
Mate, we are prime time, baby. As people whittle in, let's flip reverse the old intro because it's me and I'm old school, and we'll be back after this.
What's going on for internet?
Martin's been very impressive every single time.
Thanks to all the Carlton supporters, thank you for the love.
Mason playing Glasgow, and there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50, control! He strikes it beautifully. He's got it.
Aside from the making of my kids, that is the best 30 seconds of my life. But
I know.
Well,
I know why you've chosen it as well. It's because it ends in the Jack Nunes goal. That's why you go with that intro. It's nothing to do with being old school. It's the Jack Nunes fan club.
Mate, busted. And welcome to everyone who's joined us in the chat, especially welcome to the Premiership members whose names are on the bottom of the screen, who allow all the marvellous things to do, but you're all whittling in. Good day to you. Fun-packed show today. We've got a lot on. So less talking, Pom, more action. And as the names run, we've got the season so far. So, Dog, talk to me. And you guys and girls in the audience, give me your synopsis of the year to date.
Oh, mate. I mean, we're a bloody real football team. That's number one. We're a winning football team. 8-3. A couple of disappointing losses in there, but a couple of wins you probably didn't expect. And I mean, where does it start? It starts in the midfield and it extends out into a decimated back line that's standing up pretty well and a forward line that's been firing on pretty much all cylinders, even without last year's Coleman medalist. So, mate, it's nothing but smiles from me. I'm happy to look at the wins. That's the most important thing at the end of the day, the wins. And as I've said to you many times, Pom, it's much easier to win games when you're ahead by 6 goals in the first quarter than to be behind by 6 goals in the first quarter, which was the case for us for the last few years. Easier to hold a win than to chase one. So, no, it's been fantastic, mate. Been fantastic. How about you?
Mate, as the old adage goes, it's a lot more fun from the front, innit? So, I mean, I've enjoyed it. 8-3, do you know what I mean? A year of many firsts, do you know what I mean? For a long time, beating Richmond. Do you know what I mean? Carlton looking really solid as well with that development at the midfield. Lee Matthews last year called Carlton fraudulent because of the talent that they had in the midfield. And now one of the the number one side ranked from midfield. I've enjoyed it. I think it's a great start. I think we're well ahead of where people would have thought we would be as well. You know, I'm quite the realist. Not really. I'm kind of I'm a very glass 3/4 full. Do you know what I mean? Type guy. And it's ahead of where I was. I've really enjoyed it. I think Vossi needs a lot of credit, to be honest, because where he took us from, which was like, you know, that dog that's been chained up to a post in the pouring rat, abandoned by its owner. Mr. Voss came in, has fed it, has nursed it, has nurtured it into a nice little dangerous dog. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose what we need to do, we always have a bit of fun this. Terry gives you like 3 words, doesn't he? I'm going to play a little game with you guys and girls in the chat because I know you're intelligent. If it was a movie title, what would this season's movie title be?
Jeez, that's tough. I want to say Revenge of the Cripps. I think that's the best I got. No bloody warning on that one. What about you?
Oh dear, that's killed me. I can't follow that. I should have gone first. I will get Feels Like the First Time. That's how I describe it. Feeling it's really brought my zest to life back. Do you know what I mean? In the team, I think it's been good. It's been really exciting. We've got some good ones as well here. Maverick, a bit of Top Gun. Oh, hey. Hey, if you've seen the new Root movie, it's pretty good. Few Good Men, that's clever. I like it. The Empire Strikes Back, Blue Bag of Redemption. Know what I mean? Return of the Kings, Max Klein. I love it. I love it. Gladiator. We've got some good ones there. But, I mean, all in all, it's a huge pass, isn't it? Because finals is halfway, really. Well, it's over halfway at the halfway stage. Statistically speaking, you would have made every final in the last 10 years with 12 wins, apart from one which was settled by percentage. So Carlton really five wins away from the promised land, which is pretty good at this stage of the season, is it not?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think there's a few things to consider. One, you look at the ladder. We're currently sitting in 7th. There's only one team above us, or really even close to us, that's only played 11 games like us, and that's St Kilda. So we're still 7th with a game in hand. We win this week against Essendon. We'll talk about that later. If we can win, we push up to 4th, 5th with some room, with a bit of a buffer. It's great. The success seems to be trickling down to the VFL team, which is performing really well. There's a lot more. I would just say, like, it's really nice to get wins, feel comfortable going into games, not feeling necessarily stressed, thinking we should win this, we're probably going to win this, and they're not being depressed the whole week, Pom. It really takes you out of you when you're trying to pick out positives like, we had a really good ground ball get rate, and using that as a way to get yourself up and about for the week. A lot easier with some big W's, and doing it really without your full side, meaning there's still scope to get better, not just with personnel coming back from injury, but as time goes on, with the standards of the reserves lifting, increasing the standard of the player coming into the seniors, and then we still have only had, 12 weeks with this coaching group. So there's plenty of upside in my mind, Pom.
We still haven't seen the best 22 as well. And I think a big thing as well is this is actually the 3rd year anniversary of me being on this show this week. Incidentally, my first ever video was on the Essendon game. So I sacked Bolton, theoretically. Yeah. So look out for that. I'm looking forward to doing the preview. Obviously, that's coming up and we've got a lot to do. But next segment is, again, really engaging this show. Pom's gone engagement central today. And we usually do our 3 votes, but I want your 1, 2, and 3 in order, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the B and F. So if we did a B and F now, who would your 1, 2, and 3 be? Legdon, give me, who's 3rd in your B and F?
I think I said George Hewitt. You'll have to correct me. I've already forgotten what I said, but I'm pretty sure I had George Hewitt at number 3.
You did indeed. So let's have a wee look at Mr. George Hewitt, if I can find where I've hidden him. Here he is, Mr. Hewitt. So, I mean, George Hewitt, 3rd in Letdog's BNF, and I'd imagine he'll be quite high up in a lot of yours, but 30.3 touches, 5.2 tackles, 7.3 clearances, 4.7 score involvements as well. The number 1 centre clearance player in the competition. A real big acquisition in the off-season and obviously a worthy 3rd place. Where do you see him in levels of importance in Carlton's acquisitions in recent years?
Look, he's highly important. We did the show when they announced that they were signing him last year. And we talked about how he's going to be the perfect Ed Curnow replacement with a bit more upside. And he's taken that and blown it out of the water. He's been absolutely dominant. 30 disposals a game, 5 tackles, 7 clearances. He can, if he needs to, go back and play defensively. We know that he can be a negating role, but he hasn't needed to because the Voss system suits this guy perfectly. He's, as we know, him and Cripps and Kennedy, whoever's in there, switch around with the extractor role and then the delivery role. He's good at both. He's a vast improvement on a guy like Ed Curnow, who served us really well. And I think bringing in that extra talent into the midfield has helped unlock other areas of the ground. The other thing is he's really consistent. His stats really don't change depending on if he's playing home or away or interstate. His splits all stay pretty much similar. He's just really, really consistent. And I mean, I'm not here to single out anyone, but you look at Kane Corn saying it was ridiculous that we were offering this guy a 5-year deal. He was a free agent at the time. You offer him that deal, he comes to the club and he's already, I would argue, delivered enough to warrant the whole deal itself. Like, he's been that impressive early. And as we talked about when we first brought him across, he has brought a standard from Sydney into this midfield, which probably didn't exist there. And I just love the way he goes about it on and off the field, Paul.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think he's become a real integral part of that Fab Five, isn't he? And if you think of the Fab Five in musical terms, do you know what I mean? The Fab Four, the Beatles, he's very George Harrison. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
John Lennon, Cripps, Paul McCartney, Walsh, they get the kudos, but without that rhythm from Mr. Harrison, it all falls apart, doesn't it? And suddenly Paul McCartney's doing songs with Rihanna. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. I think he's been probably Carlton's most important acquisition in 2 decades through trades and whatnot. So I agree with you. I went a bit of a different tact with number 3. And I went the legend that is, and this guy here is what I would call Mr. Important. Do you know what I mean? Mr. Important. This guy's numbers when Carlton are getting absolutely kiboshed are absolutely insane, I think, as well. I think when you look at him, he just steps up. Number 1 bounce player in the comp. I think if you look at Collingwood as well, that game there, 27 disposals, 5 marks in a loss. Do you know what I mean? He really stepped up when the game was on the line. You saw this guy really come to the fore. And I think when you actually look at the way Vossi plays as a systematic system, I think I might have used systematic way too much in the same sentence, but in the system that he plays, I think Sard is so important. Carlton, number 1 disposal side in the comp, top 3 in effective disposals, and incredibly tempo-based game. And Sard is that metronome, particularly when Carlton start to spread way too much. The lines fall apart. Sard is one of them guys with his ball use and Doc who bring it back together. So this guy here, I don't think gets enough love, and I think he's phenomenal.
No, he's phenomenal. If we were picking favourites for our top 3, he's certainly up there for me. Having a career best year, he's absolutely top-notch by foot. Underrated, highly underrated in his defensive skills. Carlton fans at home watching this know exactly what he does in terms of his defensive game. He's really undersold in the broader media. They compare him to sort of like loose halfback flankers that don't really play on a man. This guy, his defensive skills are top-notch. Doesn't get sold in the general media, but we all know, everyone watching here, that this guy is absolutely elite in what he does, and we would be a very different team if it wasn't for the defensive presence he had on the field and then the explosiveness that he can generate. And Pom, if we're talking key acquisitions over the last 20 years, he has to be up there for me because, you know, there was arguments when we brought him across that we had too many similar players, but I don't think there's another small defender on our list that defends the way this guy does. Stocker might get there one day, but at the moment, Sard is just absolutely a beast.
Mate, I agree with you. So we've got our 3s. We're pretty similar from here on. So who was your number 2?
Yeah, I think I had Big Charlie Curnow.
Bit of a spoiler. We both had Charlie Curnow. So yeah. I'll let you start because we know that I'm just going to go off. Charlie Curnow is a god. But talk about Charlie Curnow to me.
I mean, where do you start with this guy? There's no other forward like him in the game. He's kicking more than 3 goals a game for us, which, if you do the maths, we haven't had someone really do outside of maybe Harry Mackay last year in a long, long time. 12 disposals. He can push up the ground. He's a great relieving mark. He helps take pressure off when Harry Mackay needs some space. It's probably harder to talk about this now that he's the only really key target in there at the moment, but he's actually getting a lot better when Harry Mackay is on field at generating space, and they work well together. They're not taking each other out of the contest as much as they were, But number one thing being is prior to the bye round, he was leading the Coleman. He's not at the moment. He's played one less game. You'd expect that he'll kick at least one goal and reclaim that lead. It's an unbelievable turnaround, Pom. And as we always say, you're the only one in the world who called it, but call it you did.
I said 70 goals. He's going to smash it. But first off, before I get a FAP session going, Ugar, $30.99 donation. Thanks for the show, gents. Thank you for watching. We do this for you, not for ourselves. Me and Letdog often video call and just chat shit. So you're privileged to watch it. But I mean, Charlie Curnow, 11.9 touches, 5.8 marks, 7.8 score involvements, 3.4 goals. Number 2 in goals, number 1 for goal average, 6th in contested marks a game, 6th in score involvements, 8th in marks inside 50. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There isn't a footballer on God's realm as good as Charlie Curnow. Charlie Curnow is the complete footballer. And by this time next year, Pom's big call. I gave a big call that he'd outkick Harry this year and people mocked me. Here's a second one. Charlie Curnow will be the best player in football next year. He'll back it up and people will shut up and they'll be going, Buddy who? Tom Lynch who? Charlie Curnow's it. Do you know what I mean? He's got the looks, he's got the hair, he's got the sex appeal, he's got the steel. You know what I mean? This guy is a wrecking ball and honestly, absolutely killing it without Harry. And it's a great comparison between him and Harry because Harry last year had Levi Casbolt. He had some help. Charlie's ability to create separation mobs is absolutely insane. So he is a very special player. And our number 1, and it was the number 1 in chat, is the man who a lot of people wanted to trade out last year. And if you remember, last year as well, old Teague blamed this guy on his way out. Tell me, and you guys in chat, tell me what you think is the reason he's so good this year.
Simplicity. I think they've simplified the game for him. They, for years we talked about the need. People talked about the need to bring in a big-bodied midfielder to partner with him. I think they just, and I always said this, they just needed to bring in someone good. They've done that with with Hewitt, which has then allowed guys like Kennedy and Walsh to improve. Chera, the reliance on him has reduced. And I think a lot of it is mental as well. So when you've got 3 other guys in the team averaging 30 disposals, Cripps can gets a bit of the heat taken off him. He's also been able to convert his goals convert in front of goal, which has been a question over him. He's not overthinking it. He's kicking through the ball. I think his game is very much simplified. He still gets stuck sometimes trying to do too much, but just, hey, Paddy, get the ball, handball out to Walsh. Hey, George, get the ball, handball out to Paddy. He's going to handball out to Walsh. It's very simple football, and it's allowed him to be the beast that he is. I got slated on Twitter and in some group chats and stuff when I celebrated us re-signing him because I thought that this beast was still within him. I'm glad it's happened. I'm glad the world's seeing him for what he actually is, and that's a clearance beast who can kick goals, who currently would be winning the Brownlow medal. Tom, I'm in love. And I'll tell you what, being the sole captain is one thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tez is in chat. Good day to you, mate. He trusts his coach. I think, let's talk about Cripps. It's funny, the press aren't talking about this, but if you look, a couple of years, last year they did a vote on the best season they've seen in the last decade, and Dustin Martin won it unanimously, right? Very, very similar year that Cripper is having. Very similar year in impact and the ability to actually impact games. 27.5 touches. That was plus 30 before he became a ruck part-time. 5 inside 50s, 7.5 clearances, 1.5 goals a game. And Cripper's numbers are frightening. 8th score involvements, 4th clearances per game, 17th inside 50s, 13th inside 50s resulting in scoring shots, 11th total clearances, 10 in contested possessions, 7th in stoppage clearances. This guy is literally all over the place, but he's also killing you at the front, at the hard end of the ground, as well. So he's no longer carrying the team's midfield, but he is killing opposition as well. The freedom that he has created himself and his teammates is impeccable. And Cripps, Jesus, I think what you nailed it when you said sole captaincy. I think he's grabbing that responsibility. He's owned his game. He's stripped it back, simplified it. And there's no one in planet Earth who can stop Cripps when he's up and about.
No, it's great to watch. It's great to know that he's back to his best. And I think it's relatively sustainable with the midfield they're building around him and with the game plan they're using. You know, it's a handball heavy game plan, and that's what Cripps needed to do. We said it last year a lot. You and I spoke about him when he was down on form. The games where he looked good were the games where he went back to basics and he was handballing out and feeding guys like Kennedy and Walsh. That's now a permanent part of the game plan. And yeah, I think you nailed it. I think trust in the coaching staff, trust in his teammates, and trust that the teammates are good enough now that he doesn't have to do it all, has allowed him to just play with way more freedom. And that's kind of a nothing statement, but when you watch him play, you can see what we mean by when we talk about playing with freedom. It's being able to do what he wants to do by way of having people lift around him and the pressure taken off him. So yeah, he's out and out a shoo-in at this stage for the best and fairest. And geez, his odds are shortening on the Brownlow at the moment, I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, I'd say he's a lock of doodle-do to win the Brownlow. But like Jeff nails it here, I think this is a good one as well. He's enjoying himself. You are seeing a very focused Cripps, but I think ultimately he's enjoying the fruits of his labour out there. And I think that goes for a lot of them. It's a lot easier playing in a side that wins than gets battered every week.
Yeah. No. Yeah, he feeds off winning. He wants to win. He's always wanted to win. Now that he's had a taste of it, he's not going to let that go. So the standards are definitely lifted across the board. That you can see that from the outside looking in.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. And more questions for you all. So we've got our best three, but who this year has really gone above and beyond? Your real improved player, a person that you look at each week and go, wow, he's been solid this year. He's been really, really impressed me. Who is that for you, Lek Dog, and to you guys and girls in the audience?
Yeah, this was a tough question, Pom, because there's quite a lot of people you can add to this list, I think, this year. But for me, the standout has been Matt Kennedy. We weren't sure who was going to fill that midfield role before the season. We weren't even sure if they could play all of these inside mids together. So was it going to be Setterfield? Was it going to be Kennedy? Was it going to be Dow? Was it going to be Fisher playing more of an outside role? Well, the answer so far has been it's Matt Kennedy's. He's added 7 disposals a game to his output. His efficiency hasn't really dropped at all. His clangers, turnovers, etc., have barely moved, yet he's added another 7 disposals. Effectively added 6 effective disposals a game. He's marking solid. We know if he needs to, he can go to the forward line and kick goals. Luckily for us, he hasn't needed to. And he's been too valuable in the midfield to bother moving forward. His effective disposals, as I said, are up. His contested possessions are up. He's just a better midfielder. And that, in part, is because you bring in Adam Chera, you bring in George Hewitt, and suddenly Matt Kennedy's not expected to be the number 3 midfielder. He's expected to be the number 5 midfielder, and he's just excelling in that role. So, I mean, for especially, Pom, when you consider this guy was getting rookie listed, was getting 1-year deals. After, I think it was round 3 or 4, I can't remember what round it was, they announced he'd signed an extension, and it's really well deserved. And he's finally sort of achieving what we thought he was going to achieve when we first brought him over from GWS all the way back when. So yeah, just a huge season from him so far.
Quietly going about his work, and a lot of people talk about Matt Kennedy, and he plays a really important role for Carlton. Invariably, when Hewitt goes backwards, it's to this guy. Do you know what I mean? It's to this guy. Yeah. And what people forget about Matt Kennedy, he's 16th player in the comp for score involvements, 7.2. And a lot of them are around stoppage from that cheeky handball out the back 4.4 clearances, 3.3 tackles, 24.9 touches, as you've mentioned. I agree with you. I think that there was a place up for grabs, and I think a lot of people thought maybe it's down. Maybe it's down. I think Kennedy has basically traded down. I would say. I think what an incredible story for all them kids in VFL, for Will Hayes, and for players like that, that you can be on the ropes of the football club. Do you know what I mean? On the ropes, but you get that opportunity and you take it. There is an opportunity for you at this football club. And what a great role model. Selfless, fit. Like Sandra says here, he's dropped a bit of weight.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that, Pom, that his time on ground percentage has gone from 65% last year to 72% this year. That's a pretty big turnaround, both in his fitness and in the role that he's being asked to play. He's not really sitting forward like he did last year either. He's pretty much spending time in the midfield exclusively. So he's put the work in. And it's really great to see. And I think most AFL players on a list have the talent, and it's just about the work ethic and the drive. And he was given the opportunity, and he's met that opportunity because of his work ethic and his drive.
And I think a lot of it's got to do with Voss. I think he's dangled that carrot, and I think Voss is one of them leaders that rewards commitment, rewards doing the basics. And that's something you touched on, basics. This guy here excels at the basics. And before I give mine, just sending blue abroad love to Jai S, who has just got out of hospital with an operation. Much love to you. Always see you in the watch-alongs and whatnot. So sending my love to you. My guy, who's Pom gone? Ooh, I've got a different one. It's going to split the room. Come and hate me because I'm in a good mood. I've had a week off, but I'm going with Lockie O'Brien. And 8.4 effective kicks this year, which has him in the top echelon of AFL, in between very good and elite. Kicking efficiency of 66, which has him on the higher end of very good. Goal assists has him in the average range, and very good. He's about 6 meters away from being elite in meters gained. Lockie O'Brien, for me, has been a guy that has looked at FOM administrations and literally said and owned that role. And for a club at Carlton who literally spend the 80% of time attacking the flanks, 64% attacking Lockie O'Brien's flank, shows you how valuable he is to Voss's system, because if Voss wouldn't attack the flank, at Port Adelaide, that was Carl Amon's role. This guy here, he stacks up as well. If you actually look at the top 10 wingers, he's right in the middle of them as well. So for me, someone that I've got a lot of time for, and I wouldn't say he surprised me because I've always been a fan, but he has surprised me in how quickly he's whittled his down. I thought he was going to be in and out and really trying to hone his place, but whatever Voss has done, Jesus Christ, does he want to come and have a word with my kids as they're screaming in the background? He's nailed him. Yeah,
look, another guy that was rookie listed under the previous regime. And I think the interesting thing is, so he's added a couple of disposals a game to his tally, but he's actually added like close to 5 uncontested possessions. So they've actually asked him, while everyone in the world has been asking, saying he doesn't get enough contested ball, Voss, who understands how the wings are supposed to work, has come in and said, no, fuck that. Let's focus on your uncontested ball. Let's increase that. And with that increase, it gives him more opportunities to hit up targets. And I've said this to you before many times. I think he's our best kick inside 50, particularly when it comes to targeting players that aren't Harry or Charlie. He just seems to find like an open Matt Owies or an open Corey Durden or an open Jack Martin just sitting there with no man on him, and he seems to be the one that can hit that kick. Kudos to him. He's still only 23 years old. I think he's going to be a long-term part of this wing build under Vossi. And, we know that Vossi had a lot to do with Carl Amon. Carl Amon is considered, or has been considered, an elite wingman. I think in due time, Lockie O'Brien will be spoken about and recognised for what he is doing for this side.
Couldn't agree more. And I've got to say, one of the most loveliest young men I have ever had the privilege of chatting to as well. Such a lovely young man. A big big fan. A lot of people asking about Carl Amon. I think Carl Amon and Lockie O'Brien in the same team. Oh,
baby.
God.
We talk about needing to grow a premiership list, not buy one. I'll tell you what, Carl Amon is someone I'm happy to spend the money on and bring over because he is so good.
Mate, clothing optional if you bring them two together.
Oh, baby.
Optional. Right, so, I mean, we've done that, and now we're on to an extra special bit. So, guys and girls in the chat, I want you to tell me when you think we see the new kids, Hayes and Durden. And me and Let Dog will chat a little bit about these cute little new blue baggers. So, it's always exciting to get new blue baggers through the door. Samuel Durden was our first cab off the rank. Sandful, centre half back down there, 14.9 touches in Sandful, 5.4 marks, 2.8 intercept marks, 5.5 rebounds, and an 84% efficiency. And a man that kicks almost the same kick to handball ratio as Wheatering, which is very high, has a 78% kicking efficiency as well, which is what the AFL would consider elite. Tell me what you thought about Sam Durden coming through the door.
Oh, well, I'm stoked. I'm ecstatic, actually. We know that the mid-season draft is a Mickey Mouse draft, and players just get to wherever they want to go. So I'm glad that they sorted out with Durden that he was going to come to the Blues. He is capable. He epitomizes exactly what the mid-season draft is actually meant to be. It's meant to be. I know a lot of clubs use it as a way to find unearthed gems that missed the draft or whatever. But the actual intent is to fill holes in your drive to play finals and win a premiership. Sam Durden does that. I think Sam Durden will play against Essendon this week. I think he will slot straight in for Jacob Wiedering. And the exciting thing, Pom, for me is all those stats you read out are fantastic as well. One that didn't get read out was he averaged 5 tackles a game. His intent on the pill is massive. Oh, sorry, he averaged 1.6 tackles per game. Still huge intent. He's an amazing player.
Well, I was going to say, for a key defender, anything around the 2 mark is where you want it to be. I mean, I've watched a lot of Sam Durden because I've become a little bit of an obsessant with Sanford. I don't know. I think I might have just made an adjective up, but who cares? And he's a guy that really is. If you had to make a Kmart brand of Wiedering, Durds is it. He literally slots in there. He likes to attack. He likes to be the backstop in attacking phases as well, which you saw Wiedering, how much we missed that in Voss's game plan. He's ready-made for me, and I think he'll come in straight away. I think he'll come in straight away this weekend, because when you watch Essendon, Wright usually takes our one key and they work around the next guy. And I think Durden will have a very important job being the next guy. As you saw, Plowman was aimable last week as a key defender, but you saw his skill set is coming from the side of packs, which killed us, because I think every mark that was taken inside 50 against came from against the side of a pack, which is usually Plowman's job to stop you getting there. So I think he's very much needed, and I agree with most of the chat as well. They say he's coming in. The next guy, though, is a guy that I'm a big fan of, and I thought Carlton nailed this pick. Most people, I know a lot of people were saying Ballenden would go early. Cal Toomey gave some bollocks. He'd be picked 6 to GWS. Mental. I knew that Ballenden wouldn't go until our pick, and I was a little surprised we didn't take him. I'll tell you for why. I was hoping we didn't, but I was surprised we didn't, because I thought Carlton of old would have taken the chance, knowing that this week, this draft coming up, is littered with key forwards, particularly ruckmen who forward as well, forwards who ruck, which I think is a dire need for Carlton if they are going to go with it, because genuinely they're the ones who can play third tall and play straight away. And Carlton, I think, have done wonders here, because Will Hayes, the man, if you built a guy that could play wing for Voss the way he likes, Carlton have the most rotations on the ball in the comp around stoppages. So we play the same guys in centre, but watching them around the ground, everyone rotates. And this was my issue with Dowell last week. He only had 58% because he can't rotate anywhere else. Where Will Hayes, if he comes into the side, why Noons is so popular is because of that, because he can play anywhere. Will Hayes, you look at his VFL numbers, 75% on the ball, the rest on the wing. And you look at them touches, he almost is exclusively the on-baller around stoppages. And he's got the engine to play wing. And it's something that he's alluded to, that he'll be a full-time wing for Carlton. So I am super excited. 33 touches, 4.3 tackles, 5.3 clearances, and a goal a game. This guy, I think, will actually surprise people and play against Richmond. I don't think he'll make it this week, purely because of he's been out for 2 weeks with soreness. So I reckon Richmond is the game that you deploy him, because they are a side that you can hurt on the wing.
I think they've drafted Will Hayes. I think the attitude towards the mid-season draft has changed this year. Last year, it was very much about getting a couple, a project player like Murkov in. This year, it's about getting players that are going to impact. I think there's a really decent chance that Will Hayes plays senior football sooner rather than later, particularly because that kind of wingy rotation, outsidey mid role hasn't really been solidified by a Nunes or a Cottrell or a Setterfield. They've all certainly tried very hard and have had some good games and some bad games. So I think if nothing else, he's on the list to put pressure on those guys and to either see them improve or to take their spot. 2.8 rebound 50s and 3.7 inside 50s a game in the VFL. He can pretty much fill either the Lockie O'Brien or the Will Setterfield wing role, and as you've said, rotate onto the ball as well. I think it's a really shrewd pickup. I'm not surprised at all. I think he was pretty much locked in to be picked up by round one of the VFL, if I'm being honest with you. But it's nice to see that we've created a pathway, Pom. And you and I have spoken about this. If nothing else, rewarding a guy who has come in to train with your side, has played the VFL system, and then rewarding him and showing other players that there is a clear path from VFL to AFL football at the Carlton Football Club is really important for a couple of reasons. One, lifts the standards of everyone already in your VFL outfit because they want to play AFL. And number two, attracts, guys who have recently come off lists or guys who have maybe retired and then want to come back in a year later, which we see happen semi-regularly. It entices them to come and play for your VFL team. And also, you want your VFL team to win footy. You want that winning to flow from AFL to VFL and back. So it's a tick across the board for me, even if he doesn't end up playing a game for the AFL side.
Mate, I think it's a great dub, and I think something that Hawthorn have done for many years is draft internally from their VFL. Very strong outfit, Box Hill Hawks. I remember hearing Sam Mitchell in person talk about great clubs with great cultures have strong VFL pathways for players that have been missed. And basically, you're allowing opposition scouting to do their work. So, God love the new bootbaggers. I'm sure I speak for everyone that we can't wait to see them out in action. But we've got some good news. Let's go on to the bad news. So, AFLW trading hell. So, I know the AFLW is hard to get around. You see the trade period, and it kind of made sense. But let's have a wee look at the goals because we've got lots to cover, lots to get through. But this is the AFLW's trade period. So what can you say? Prasparkis, G, Egan, Stevens, Wilson, Brazali, 38, 89, 21, 42. In 25, 28, 42. We used 42. Amelia Valrado, 73, 17. And Phoebe McWilliams, who is 36 years old, replacing Charlotte Wilson, 22. Leaving you with picks 17, 25, 28, 55, 71, and 73 in the draft. If you ever wanted a blueprint on what not to do, this is it.
Yeah, Pom. It's a lot of talent to go out the door for not a lot of return to come in. The picks they're in a compromised draft. I think a lot of the picks aren't even in a non-compromised draft adequate return. I don't know what it says about the club that they can't maintain these players. My frustration is as much with the club as it is with the AFL for, you lose Prasparkas and to free agency. Or to free agency. They can't call it free agency because then they'd have to actually implement free agency upon. But the AFL sets up a system that essentially punishes the clubs that adopted the league in the first place and rewards the clubs that didn't want to jump on board and didn't want to make the commitment. So the fact that there was no protections in there for existing clubs is disappointing and definitely an oversight or just a plain wrong decision. And then it's flowed in. You lose a couple of good players to free agency. A couple of other players think, this might be a bit of a sinking ship and jump off. And what are we left? We're left with a few draft picks that, might turn into players, might not. We brought in a couple of players who have played AFLW at the senior level, but it's certainly not replacing the talent that's gone out the door. So I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed.
Well, there's not much more can be said, but it's absolutely horrific. And I've been a big advocate of the AFLW since its inception. We try and get around the girls, but it's very hard to get people up and about when it's run like this. And if you ever think Mark Lagoudichet is not there and you kind of forget what it's like, just tune in to the AFLW and how the media team parades itself, because it still exists at the club, and it's a scourge on the great name. Because you've got to remember, these girls are representing the men as well. They're representing the family, the brand, and to see them be treated like this and allow it to go in, it's a negative. A lot of work to do. Do I think the list managers are capable? Probably not. But what we have got is, at the moment, you are really picking at the hard picks. Two I've picked out for you guys and girls at home to watch out for. Mia Van Dijk could be a goer with one of our later picks. Tall defender, super athletic, tall, real good aerial ability. She's strong. She comes from the Geelong VFLW system as well, so she knows how to play, good at reading the play, probably a like for Charlotte Wilson. And my main girl from Dandenong, Kalani Scholar, check her out, a ruck woman who can float up forward. We've lost a few of them in the last couple of years. She could be one as well of our later picks. Good ruck craft and defensive strength. So two to look at, but a lot of work to do for the girls, to be honest. And it's sad, really.
Still at least one player to go. If the reports are all accurate on Twitter and whatnot. So, we're not even done. It's going to be it's a real fall from sort of grace, isn't it? Over just a couple of short seasons. And this is 2018. This has got 2018 Carlton men sort of vibes to it. So it's going to be a very, very long year for what is a relatively short season, isn't it?
Well, I've got the bad news out of the way. Let's crack on straight onto the good news. Icon Park redevelopment, they posted them new wonderful pictures. Let me know in the chat if you've seen them and what you felt about it. But obviously, for those who get really excited about this shit, they did emboss the logo as well. So hopefully that's the end to that matter and we can focus on the football. But as aesthetics go, it is quite pretty, isn't it?
It looks beautiful, mate. Hopefully it continues to help us play a hell of a lot better, which we have been, which is good. So all for investment in the club. Have always questioned why they built it so close to the ground and when you could have seats there and potentially play football there. But maybe that's just me not being able to let go that they're not going to play AFL senior men's football there ever again.
Well, it'd be nice, eh? The big bit of this, and I do see a lot of your questions. We are going to be covering it later. Stay tuned because we have action-packed show. Honestly, I have been very busy when I should have been working. But Charlie Curnow. So Charlie Curnow gave an interview about his contract update. It was very positive. Here's a direct quote from the God himself. I'll leave it to my manager and the Carlton Football Club. I'm in no rush. I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm definitely not going anywhere. It definitely is good being at the football club at the moment. So looks like Charlie's going to sign a 10-year deal and we'll be totally fine. But positive news on that front.
Oh, it's great. It's what you want to hear. Sometimes, just for full transparency, sometimes players come out and say, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to stay, and then they leave. I fully believe that is not the case for Charlie Curnow. I'm going to take him 100% at his word. That'll get done. That'll get done before the start of next season. Next season, he becomes a free agent. When he wins the Coleman this year, they are going to throw a hell of a lot of money at him, and I am 100% here to support that decision. And the other thing, Pom, is, if you believe the reports, Cripps, Walsh took less money to stick around. A few players have done that. I think that, Hawthorn have always done that. I think that sort of goes across the whole list, and I think we're in a really good position. So, positive vibes, absolute positive vibes.
If Charlie left, asked George, would you go with him, Pommy? Nah, I'd be heartbroken. I'd be the shell of the man you see today. But, Charlie's not going to leave.
No.
I have it on very good authority that one of the big reasons that he's staying is because he loves the champ. So, it's all right, Charlie. Don't worry about it, mate. I got your back. I'll come up with a new one when you sign a deal. But on a serious note, I think you're right. I think Carlton are building a really good area with the actual value of contracts. And I can actually see Charlie. We did overpay him for 3 years to, fall down on tiles and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a little bit of a pay decrease and maybe a 2-3 year deal. And I think we're in a good place. But from some really positive news to just breaking before we came on here, Tom Williamson has been announced that he's taking a step away from the club. The club statement was as follows. The Carlton Football Club can confirm that Tom Williamson has taken a period of indefinite leave of absence. The club has been supporting Williamson over several months, who's been dealing with a number of personal issues. It has been agreed by all parties that it would be best that Williamson takes extended time away from the footy club to focus on his well-being and ultimately address his personal issues. The well-being and health and safety of all that remains at the club is the priority, and due to the sensitive nature of this matter, the club won't provide any further comment at this stage. So I think I speak on behalf of all of us that we're sending love, well wishes and light to Tom Williamson, and we can't wait to see you back. But because we are a Carlton family, emotionally we're here for you, mate, sending you all the best wishes from us, from Carlton and Blue Abroad. Yeah,
echo those sentiments. Good luck to him. Hopefully he sorts out whatever's going on in his life, and he's been all right in the VFL this year, averaging sort of 19 disposals, and he's been thereabouts. So good luck to him. It is going to be a loss to the club if he's away for an extended period of time. So best of luck to him,
mate. Well, if you are watching, Tom, I know some of the players do watch, mate. We are all behind you, my good brother. Cannot wait to see you back at the footy club. So we go from sad news to maybe the same sadness. Injuries. So this has been asked a hell of a lot in chat. I'm posing the question to you: overplayed or is it underdone, the injuries? And let's have a look. I've made a little thing for you guys and girls because I like getting my N64 graphics out and making something sexy. So what I've done here is I'm proposing that the injuries at this football club are way overplayed, are well overplayed in the terms of I think we panic way too much. And I don't know if you're watching, Paolo, my comrade in arms. I know you've been trying to downplay everything at the moment and copping a bit flack. But these are the main players that are out. Obviously, this was done before Tom Williamson took an indefinite leave, so he would be read and done. But Zach Williams, what I've done to simplify this chart is I've given you the game, anticipated the back. I've tried to over-exaggerate it and look at worst-case scenario. So I don't often do that, but I'm doing it just for you guys and girls. So Zach Williams, I've got maybe back by finals. You just never know with Zach, though, do you? Let's be honest.
No, could be
Harry
finals,
Mackay?
could be next year, could be next week. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Could be next year. I mean, at this rate, he might fucking host this show with me. You just never know. You know what I mean? Harry Mackay, I know there's rumours him coming back for Essendon. I can sense it coming in chat. I can feel the furious typing. Please, naked HD fun. We don't need nakedness. We've got Charlie Curnow. But Harry, I've got anticipated coming back at a more logical time of Richmond.
Yeah, look, I think there's no rush. This isn't to downplay Essendon, but they haven't been very good this year. We've won games without Harry Mackay against better opposition than that. So, yeah, if he's healthy to play, great. Play him. He'll kick a couple. It'll be great. But yeah, I think Richmond is the realistic expectation for mine.
Yeah, and then I've got Mitch McGovern. I've got him coming back with Mark Pitternet and Edward Curnow. They'll be ready around then.
Yeah, interesting. Pitto, I imagine there will be a spot in the side for him. By the time round 18 sort of rolls around or around 19, 20, whenever McGovern's fit, I don't know if there's going to be 100% a spot for him. You'll have Wiedering, Young, Durden, some combination of that. Like, we'll see. That'll be a really interesting one to watch.
Well, the way TDK's going, it may be he might not come straight in, which will be interesting. Then we've got Marchbank. Well, the reason Honey's not on there is Honey's actually available now. He's ready for VFL, so don't worry about Honey. Connors, we've got finals. I don't trust he'll be back. They said he had a minor setback. And the other two we haven't talked about, Caleb Marchbank. I've conservatively penciled him in for the Saints, round 16, which would give him 3 VFL games. And I've given Wheaters a real wide berth because by schedule, round 18, he could be there. But I've given an extra week, round 19, GWS. So when you look at that, at worst case, you're going to have 5 games with your best players.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's interesting, isn't it? If I told you that as finals approached and we're vying for a spot in the finals, your back line was going to be Caleb Marchbank, Sam Durden, and Lewis Young were going to be your first 3 choice talls. I'm not sure I would have been confident we'd be in the same position, but we are, and we've made it work. So I'm in the school of we're going to play finals pretty comfortably. That's where I'm at personally. I'm very confident in the side we have. So I want our players to be 100% fit before they come into this senior side.
So that on your screen, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. As the famous song goes, you can't look past the worst case scenario. That's the Wombats then. Check them out if you don't know who the Wombats are. Pom will be very interesting. But then what I did is I went full Revenge of the Nerds, right? So I was an important meeting while I did this, just so everyone knows today. But this is TPI's gambling win percentages, right? So this is the probability using betting odds, right, on TPI, right? So Carlton would have a 73.30 chance, which matches what the bookies are saying. The bookies have got us around them odds anyway. Richmond, 47.82. Fremantle, 48.12. St Kilda, 52.7. West Coast, 96.7. Geelong, 44.7. GWS, 61.6% chance of winning. Fremantle, 71.3. Collingwood, 55.4. And finals is a 64.1 chance at this stage, which is very high. But you see there, if you just go on the algorithm-based worst-case scenario, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6 wins, which takes us to 14.
Yeah, I think I have. I think I said on Twitter today in reply to you that I had us penciled in for about 6 wins. I think Essendon, we should win. Richmond, I reckon prior to the season, I thought all of Richmond, Fremantle, and GWS, we would split those 1 each. So my predictions, Pom, Essendon win, Richmond loss, Fremantle win, St Kilda loss, West Coast win, Geelong loss, GWS, I think we're actually going to beat them. So you can ignore what I just said, Adelaide and Collingwood. So I've got us at 6 wins as well, a different 6 to what maths says, but I'm not as worried as I know it looks precarious when you look at the ladder right now and see us in 7s, but we got a game in hand. If we can beat Essendon, it puts us ahead of the pack. It sits us up in 4th/5th with a little bit of breathing room, and all we can do is keep winning games. We're 8-3. You gotta enjoy it. I don't see why our sort of, if we've gone 8-3 in the first 11 games, I don't know why everyone's really stressed about us getting another 4 or 5 wins in the back half of the season. And that's just me being confident based on what the people have actually put out on the park and
exactly.
what they've done
You've got to
in front of
remember,
us.
there is one team missing for the eagle-eyed observers. There is Melbourne, but because that was a red game, which means we've got a 40 or lower chance of winning it. I didn't want it in there because I don't want to feel that. I don't want to claim that negative energy. I don't want to give that, guys, to you. But very interesting. If you go back to that original sheet I showed you, Pom's injury chart, full team in the last run home. Hey? Hey? So what I'm saying is Uncle Pom says be happy. And last segment of the day, Essendon, Mon the Blues. There you are. You got to do that with my accent. But obviously, I want to know your predictions and your thoughts. So Terry gives you 3 words. I'm going to give you 5 words to give me your best preview of Essendon. And like Dog, because you're a man of many words, you can have as many as you want, my friend.
Well, I'll give you 3 to start. I only need 3. Shit it
5.
in.
What?
We are going to shit it in.
Go on then.
People who watch the AFL team show know that we like to guarantee a win. But to be fair, we guarantee every win, and you just got to judge on the margin if we're actually confident on it. This is one that we're going to win. We're going to win on Friday night. It's going to be a Blues dominant crowd, and we're going to make Essendon fans cry that Adam Sard plays in the navy blue. We are going to absolutely demolish them. I know that's not very scientific, Pom, but it's just facts.
Science here from Black Dog. Now I'm with you. Give us your predictions in the scores as well, but I'm loving some of these at the moment. Like Crippolution. I like that.
Ooh.
I like that. Love a little bit of wordplay. Stick it up 'em. I like that. Carlton to win by 60. Blues bollocking Bombers 150 years. Tell you what, if the press use some swear words, I will enjoy that. What a banter club. What a banter club Essendon are. I agree. I think Carlton, I'm scared, but I actually think Carlton will dominate this game. I think I'll give Collingwood credit. They play a very, very, very interesting brand, and it's a very fearful brand. But Essendon, our midfield is miles superior to theirs, and that's something that Carlton will have a very, very healthy thing. And I think no one took into account with Collingwood. Carlton on the metric data were a 92% chance to win based on the early 15-minute stats with Wheater in. So that would have been a 40-point win. People forget that everyone always comes out and says, well, you said this, you said that. Pom also said that they'd smashed GWS and Sydney when everyone was in the chat saying that they were going to neck themselves because they were worried about the game. So remember the one loss, but remember 90% of the time, Pom is like a pair of old boots. You wear it all the time. Carlton, providing they have no injuries, absolutely smash it. Absolutely smash it.
I think it'll be a pretty high-scoring game each way because obviously our backline won't be terribly settled and they've got a couple of tall targets in there. But I just think we're going to have the firepower to beat them on paper in just about every stat. We outperform them. I think there may be one stat that they have is like disposal efficiency by 1% across the board. Like in every other stat that matters, we tend to take the cake this year. So got to back in the maths on that one, Pom.
Mate, and we're going to go about 5 minutes over because I've got one more segment to do. But give me your score predictions in chat. Give me your score predictions. Leg Dog, put you on the spot.
Yeah, Blues by 48 points.
Blues by 48. I'm going to go Blues by 33. And while you guys do that, we've got something very important. Thanks to you all. Wanted to just, while you're all here, give you all a bit of love. Thank you very much for a wonderful season. Obviously, this is kind of like our Christmas break this weekend has been. I took a sabbatical, had it off, and just wanted to thank you all for 3 years. It's been a pleasure. I used to be your favourite Pom in a singlet and a dodgy background. Now I've scrubbed myself up, but made a lot of friends, a lot of lifetime friends with the guys and girls I work with. And I love you all. You make this community brilliant. So I've got to say, you guys are absolutely fantastic. Do stay tuned this week for, we've got the Almost Blues Brothers podcast coming out at 6 a.m. And also the boys at Jumper Punch, they have been up to something. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Shane Robertson, 87 Premiership player for Carlton. Do yourself a favour, every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, get on the Jumper Punch. Keep punching.
Pom, I've heard you've got a throne in your lounge room that you sit on like that.
A throne?
Yeah.
No, people are saying Pom's going to leave. No, Pom's not leaving. It did sound like I was leaving. I just wanted to let you all know.
It sounded like a breakup a little bit.
Tell you what, if any of my exes are watching, they'll tell you that I don't go that well. No, I'm not leaving. I just wanted to let you know that I love all you guys. You guys make this channel, this community wonderful, especially Terry for bringing this platform together. But honestly, you guys and girls make it. Honestly, I love you all. I love you too, Lapdog. You're a good guy.
Love you too, Pom. Spend 75 hours a week talking to you on the phone, and I love every second of it. So thank you for welcoming me into this Blue Abroad world, everyone, as well. I've been enjoying it. Love doing the teams on a Wednesday/Thursday/Friday. Will it be Wednesday for us this week? No, it'll be Thursday this week for us, Pom. We got the Friday game.
Hey, no, don't worry. You're stuck with me forever. You know what I mean? even if Fox Footy offered me $200 million a year, you'd always have me. But where can we find you this week, Lapdog? What are you up to?
Yep, so we've got a Jock Reynolds podcast dropping either tonight or early tomorrow, jockreynolds.com.au. If you are a listener and you like Supercoach or fantasy footy, or you just want to support me, look up Jock Reynolds Supercoach podcast on Apple or wherever you look at. Leave a 5-star rating because we're starting to attract some sponsors and stuff. They come to us through those ratings and those reviews. So it really helps us out. And other than that, yeah, I'm all over Twitter. I'll be tweeting plenty of Carlton facts about Nigel Thornbury, a.k.a. Sam Durden, this week. It's going to be fantastic.
Mate, stay tuned. Like we say, tomorrow you've got the premiere of Jumper Punch. You've got Almost Blues Brothers coming up. Terry's wonderful previews and reviews. Fan cams. The watch along with Pom on Friday night. I might even have a few beers and we'll get stuck into Essendon. Make sure you watch the teams with me and Lapdog. You can check me out though. All socials, Pom in Oz. Much love to everyone. Love, light. Smash the fucking Bombers. Till next time. See you guys soon.